Today, the topic is about the insect digestive system. In the insect digestive system, we'll discuss about the main divisions of foregut, midgut, and hindgut. As usual, what is the food which is ingested by the insect is about the small seed-like dry food. So where we cannot find it's drinking the any liquid forms. So whatever the content of water which is present in the seed, that is the one which is utilized, and the insect has the reabsorption capacity also from that particular uh, uh, rectal papillae which are present in the anus. So that we give the importance, like this is the main one which we will discuss usually as a main content of the system. So the foregut is the, when we discuss about the foregut, the processing and the storage of the food will takes place in this particular foregut. And in the midgut, the digestion and absorption of the food takes place. And in the hindgut, absorption of the water, salts, and elimination of the waste, we will see. And as such, when we want to discuss in detail about the foregut, we will say that the various morphological divisions where we see in the mouth parts, uh, from the mouth parts when we discuss, we say that it's an chewing and biting type of mouth parts are present in this particular insects. Okay, but depending upon the if we are discussing about the alimentary canal of the generalized insect, this particular cockroach or grasshopper, anything we are discussing, that they'll have the biting and chewing. But other insects, depending on the environment, they have a different types of mouth parts. Like butterflies will have the siphoning type of mouth parts. The house flies will have uh, the liquidation. They are able to liquidize the food and they can suck. So sucking and eating mouth parts. And we will see even in the honeybee also, the lapping type, where they have to lap the honey from the flowers. So they have the lapping and chewing type of mouth parts. Like this, we see the different types of mouth parts in the insects. As such, whatever the system we are discussing in general, like the grasshopper or the cockroach, they have the biting and chewing type of mouth parts. So from the mouth, whatever the insect, the food was taken with the help of the dilator muscles, the pharynx region it will reach, the food reaches the pharynx and leads to the esophagus, where after the pharynx, immediate pharynx leads to the esophagus, and the esophagus, after the esophagus, the food will be stored in the crop. So the crop is where they can store the food, as well as whatever the intima which is there in the proventriculus part of this particular insect will also help in the mm, grinding of the food. So these spines like structures which are present in the proventricular region will also grind the food and also sieve the food to the midgut region. where there will be an stomodale valve. And in honeybees, particularly, the pollen is also like they will be uh, crushing that particular pollen, and that will be with the help of that particular spine like structures. The stomodale valve is able to filter before sending it to the midgut. And coming to the midgut region, we see the protein and the carbohydrate matrix of the whatever we see in the chitin. That is the where the midgut region we see this particular food able to form, and the midgut epithelium is also with the three basic cellular types, that is columnar digestive cells and the regenerative cells and the endocrine cells. So three types of cells are there in the midgut epithelium, that is striated border of regenerative cells, endocrine cells, and the columnar digestive cells. So these cells are involved in the synthesis of digestive enzymes and also in the absorption of the digested food. So when we see the system, we see the cells replace actively in the functioning gut cells, and they that will help to degenerate the result of holocrine secretions whatever happens in the gut. And even whatever the food bolus we will say, that is formed with the food particles, is also um, mixed with the enzymes, and this particular way the midgut region helps in the diet, whatever the diet which has come from the source stomodale valve will help in the this particular process. And here we see the excess of water is anything present is also facilitate the enzyme activity. And at particular this midgut and hindgut region, we also see the malphigian tubules. These tubules will also help in the maintaining the osmotic gradient, and this will help in the flow of fluid through the lumen of the gut. And coming to the hindgut region, and we see the pictures of different modifications of the gut region, where we can see different modifications of the gut region in the different insects. That is caterpillar is having a different crop and midgut region, butterfly is having different crop and midgut regions, and even small flies will have the midgut and crop regions differently. Storage of the food structure will be different. Like we also gave the example of termites here. So these things we can observe how the modifications of the gut is there in the different insects. So when we see the what is the functions of the gut means obtaining the food and mechanically breaks down the food into smaller particles, and that facilitate the activity of digestive enzymes. And here the enzymatic breakdown of larger food molecules into molecules that can enter the hemolymph is the one which happens. And they also produce the molecules that coordinate the feeding and other digestive activities. And coming to the where we see the this particular things to happen means the first part of the food when it enters into the mouth, we also see the salivary glands. And this type of salivary glands we see in the acinus type and the tubular type. Acinus type will be of alveolar, that is multicellular with the sac-like units directly innervated from the central nervous system, and tubular-like cells where they are not directly innervated, but serotonin from hemolymph to regulate the enzymatic production will be there in this particular salivary glands. So these salivary glands also help in moistening the food and lubricate the mouth parts to um, secrete the digestive enzyme, that is amylase, which will help in breaking down the complex sugars into simple sugars, and salivary enzymes from the pre-oral digestion will help mainly. And also there are nine non-digestive functions like toxins or the predators that affect the CNS of prey, countertoxins of plant allelochemicals, and anticoagulants and the silk production. These are also happens with this particular salivary glands, which are helpful in the insects to do their particular functions. And from there, the food enters into the foregut region. There, the mouth and the oral cavity, where after the consumption of the food enters into the ventral glandular salivarium, and from there it will enter into the dorsal muscular cibarium, and mechanical processing of food in the pharynx, and proventriculus of gizzard will help, and also there is will be an storage in the crop takes place. And after this, the whatever the two main areas we will discuss as an gastric ceca. After entering into the gastric ceca, the which is the main region of the endosymbionts. It is an house of endosymbionts, and also there will be an ventriculus where most of the digestion occurs. Now coming to the hindgut region, it is composed of cuboidal epithelial cells, and these cuboidal epithelial cells will help in the divisible of tubular anterior intestine, that is the muscularized, where it is part where highly muscularized, and enlarged rectum and anus will be there in the hindgut region. And in the hindgut, major region of the insect, where we are seeing the recycling, where the hindgut is a region of water conservation and excretion, intimately involved in the osmoregulation and also in the elimination of the waste, especially nitrogenous waste. And in the insects have an open circulatory system. There is no kidney or nephridia. So aquatic insects also have an chloride cells to actively pump in the ions. And we also see the malphigian tubules where we are seeing in the outgrowth of the hindgut of the ectodermal in origin, and dead end tips open into the hemolymph of these malphigian tubules and transport the epithelium, the secretes the nitrogenous waste and the solutes into the tubules, and they filtrate. These are delivered to the hindgut region. And particularly in the hindgut region, the parts of the rectal epithelium are thickened to form a rectal pads. And these rectal pads are specialized for the absorption of water from feces before defecation. And here we also see the active transport of ions, where across these cells sets up the osmotic gradient, water is reabsorbed. And here we see the movement of water, inorganic ion, sugars, and the amino acids. And we say that this hindgut is where the metabolism of carbohydrates, lipids, and nitrogenous compounds will be taking place. And This storage of glycogen, fat, and protein is also plays an important role, and also the regulation of blood sugar and the synthesis of major hemolymph also takes place. And we see the insects having an unusual diets, like in termites they take the wood regularly consumed by some boring beetles also. They take the wood as an food. Some termites also, and also silverfish, we see the different unusual diet where it lives in the books of old books, and it will take the diet of that. And some endogenous production of cellulase is also helpful in this particular insects to do the digestion process. And most endosymbiotic interactions with the bacteria or fungi is also helpful, and also the exogenous composition consumption of the fungi to obtain the cellulases. And we also see that some only consume the rare starch sugar or whole cell walls in the food tissue uh, also. And we see the bee wax is ordinarily resistant to digestion, but wax moths can eat it, have an highly basic gut. And cloth moths also, which belong to the order Tinidae, are also known to scavenge horn hooves and even tortoise shells. And like this, some moths and beetles can feed on keratin also. So, in the physiology of digestion, we see that whatever the food habitat or unusual diets we see in the insects, they are able to digest with the enzymatic action, and they are able to finally make it into an simple absorbable monosaccharides. And proteins are also break down into peptones, and finally amino acids which are absorbable. And thus cockroach or any insect which are omnivorous, some are they are able to feed on blood also. And we see that particular digestion is happening in the this particular insects with the help of whatever the saliva or the histolysis which are secreted by that particular insects will helpful in the process. When we see the for example, if we are seeing the nectar feeding butterflies, we see in diet they are having feeding protein diet. And this particular insects, they have the proteases are absent in this particular insects. And some amphids which are totally dependent on the plant sap, or also they don't have the polysaccharides and lack amylase and proteinase in them, but they have the invertase enzyme to do the processing. Like this, we see different types of um, process of processing in the digestion process of insects, where the digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids takes place. Coming to the carbohydrates, there are mainly monosaccharides diffuse down concentration gradients between the midgut lumen and hemolymph. And this diffusion of simple sugars like glucose and fructose is enhanced by the rapid conversion of these sugars into trehalose in the fat body. And this uh, process where the insects are able to absorb in an disaccharide form also. And coming to the proteins are absorbed as amino acids after hydrolysis, and these amino acids are also reabsorbed in hindgut. Coming to the lipids are also sometimes absorbed without unchanged, but whenever there is an products of wax are as phosphorylated form, while cholesterol is esterized before absorption. So this particular lipid absorption is only seen in the Hymenoptera, that is in honeybees, where the hindgut will do this particular process of different absorption in the of lipids. And coming to the water is absorbed mainly in the midgut region, but again it is reabsorbed in the hindgut region, and this will help many of the insects to uh, do the concentration and the desired nutrition absorption very well. And we see the inorganic ions are also absorbed in the midgut region, like sodium, potassium, chloride, other than the copper and ferrous. These are also have helpful molecules where they are helpful in movement of the these particular ions, will help in the maintaining the water gradient between the lumen and the cells, like passive and active transports mainly helpful. And coming to the regulation of the alimentary system, we see that in the whatever the destination of ingested food is going to be in the, even if we take the example of female mosquitoes, sugar meals, or like flower butterflies, they have and directed to the diverticula, and blood meals are directed to the midgut, and sensilla in the roof of siberial pump acting via the frontal ganglion are involved in the so-called switch mechanism. And in other blood feeding insects also, we see this particular type of ingestion taking place. And this are like this, we see two mechanisms of or enzyme secretion in the insect gut, where the depending on the feeding process, the absorption, digestion, absorption is taking place in the insects. So coming to the insect nutrition, when we discuss, we have amino acids as acting as in building blocks of protein, making the tissues and enzymes. And carbohydrates are also essential nutritive substance for them. And even the lipids also plays an important role for the good sources of chemical energy, and important for the synthesis of steroid hormones in the insects. And also we see the vitamins, which helpful in the fat soluble, and they are also uh, provide B complex vitamins, which are very much important for the molds, and even for the ascorbic acid also helpful in the molds of the insects. And minerals also plays an important role, like uh, the minerals which are present in the water, they are able to absorb and undergo the process of developing the from the egg. The example in the when the mosquitoes lay the eggs on the stagnant waters, with the help of the ions only, the egg, whatever the egg, from the egg, the larvae come out, are able to mold and form the cuticle like structures. And even the nucleic acids play an important role. DNA, RNA, genetic material in the insects, they are also synthesized in them. And also the water, the required water will be absorbed from the diet, and in respect they survive. And even the dry food also, they can able to eating the dry food, consuming the dry food also, they are able to survive. And we see the types of feeding behaviors here, that is herbivores, herbivores insects, which are mainly dependent on the plant as a main source of food in the insects. The grasshoppers, example of herbivorous insects means the grasshoppers, locusts, bugs, moths, butterflies, thrips. These are all herbivores. And coming to the example of detrivores, these are the insects which live on the decaying flesh, dung, leaf litter, like that. And when we see the microphagous insects, they are like they are totally depend on the decaying organic material, like example Drosophila melanogaster. And
Ma'am, slides
we
are
see
not
the
moving. Excuse me, ma'am.
example.
Sli-
Tell me.
Slides are not moving.
Slides. After this, there is all. Uh, I didn't prepared about these types of feeding behaviors and all that. These are generally you can write down like
Okay.
types of feedings. You can put the heading, keep the heading, and write down the points so that you can add to this particular slides. So herbivores means grasshoppers. Like herbivores means you write the definition like plants are the main source of food for the largest number of insects. Okay. Then you write the examples for these herbivores: grasshoppers, locusts, bugs, moths, butterflies, thrips. Then you write the heading detrivores, detritivores. These insects feed on decaying organic materials. Detritivores, insects feed on decaying organic materials. Examples: decaying flesh like dung, so on. Examples you can write dung beetles, carrion beetles. All these are aterigotes. They are unable to fly. The beetles which are unable to fly mostly are detrivores. They are called aterigotes. Aperygotes. Aterigotes. Pterygotes means they can fly. Aterigotes, they cannot fly. And third one, Microphagus. Microphagus means the feed is microorganisms. Several insects are dependent upon microorganisms which are closely associated with the decaying organic material. Several insects are dependent upon microorganisms closely associated with the decaying organic material. Example, you can take the fruit fly, Drosophila, like that. Microphagus, several insects are dependent upon microorganisms closely associated with the decaying organic material. Fruit fly, Drosophila, melanogaster. Mycetophagus. Mycetophagus, fourth one. These insects feed upon fungi. These insects feed on fungi. Example, ants. Ants, ants. Fifth one, carnivores. Carnivores. These insects totally depend on animals as a source of food. These insects depend on living animals as a source of food. Carnivores are of three types. Carnivore insects are of three types. Predators. Predators insects capture and eat many living animals. So example, dragonfly capture their prey in mid-air also. Some aquatic species also. They totally depend on the insects. Some giant water bugs even feed on snails. Giant water bugs feed upon snails. Bee parasites. Parasites. Example, pediculus, human lice. Pediculus, human lice. Cymex, bed bugs. I think these are all known species to us. Pediculus, human lice. They live in the head of the humans. Cymex, bed bug. Mandisha ma'am number ఉందా? Cymex, bed bug. So some of these insects remain on the host throughout their life cycle. Some they intermittently live. Some they live for some time and they'll fly away. Like this, they have a different types of uh, stages living on this particular regions as in parasites. So totally they take the blood meal also. Even the mosquitoes are also parasites. They take the human blood meal, human blood as a meal. And some type of insects, that is gastrophilus, live inside the gut of the cattle. It is an insect only. Gastrophilus. Gasterophilis. These insects live inside the gut of the cattle. Third one is about the parasitoids. These parasitoids are those insects whose larvae live and feed within the host. So these parasitoids usually attack the species of insects, and they also um, have the capacity to feed on larvae to pupae. Example, you can write as an wasp. Example, wasp. Will we discuss about the one more topic?
Yes, ma'am.
So we also discuss about the life cycle of lac today, where this particular species of insects, whatever we find about 10,000 above in all over the world, these species of insects, some are harmful, some are beneficial, which provide us the useful products. That among that one is an lac insect. This lac is a secretion of integumental glands that is Caria lacca. And here we see the different uh, inhabits a large number of trees in India. Like they also have the habitat not only in India, Thailand and Myanmar also. We see this particular type of insect secreting the lac, and from this secretion, whatever the commercial shellac is manufactured will be around 60,000 tons of lac every year, about the 65 to 70% of the total world's output. These thousands of minute nymphs, whatever which crawlers we say, they wander on the shoots, settle on the tender branches. We will, whenever they are crawling, we'll call them as crawlers. Whenever they settle, we'll call it as settlers. And in close proximity of one another, they pierce the rostrum inside the shoot and begin to suck the sap. And this sap, a day or two after settling down, they secrete the resin over their body from the integumental glands. And these integumental glands eventually cover themselves with the lac, which serves as their protective shield. But after what bees do, when they mature, the females remain wingless and sedentary, whereas males become winged and emerge and inseminate the females. So, what happens whenever after oviposition, the eggs hatch again, the young crawlers move to the fresh twigs of the host plant and begin to feed, and renewing the cycle process will be there. And here, what is happening? The twigs covered with the mature females are referred to as a brood of lac and are used to inoculate the healthy plants in the lac cultivation. So, harvesting of lac is done by removing these particular branches covered with the lac, that is called as a stick lac, and grinding them. The ground lac is called as a seed lac, is washed and bleached and dried in the sun. So then heated in the cloth bags over open the charcoal fires. As the lac melts, it is squeezed onto the floor and quickly pressed and stretched into thin sheets, which are then flaked called as an shellac. So like this, 20 lakhs, where 20 lakhs of 20,000 lakhs of insects will able to produce only 1 kilogram of lac. 20 lakh thousand insects, 20 lakhs minimum. 20 lakhs of insects are able to produce only 1 gram of lac. And this lac is used in making shoes, polishes, artificial fruits and flowers making, ink, lithographic ink making, electrical insulations, and protective coverings for the some coffee bean burnishings, paints, cements, and adhesives, varnishes, moldings, photographic products, phonographic records, playing card finishes. Like this, a number of uses are there, which are we are calling as an the particular lac uses. So when we see the life cycle now, after knowing why we are studying about this particular insect, whenever that particular female lays the egg, like 300 to 1000 eggs, if you are able to see, 300 to 1000 eggs. So this particular egg laying starts by the female. The end of egg laying, we see the yellow spots indicating the shrinking of female. And then we also see the orange spots indicate the eggs are about to hatch within the 1 to 5 weeks of interval. And these larvae are seen like this as in crawlers. And after 8 weeks, we see the larvae settling on the host. And these larvae, after settling on the host, they are called as pupa. They form a shell-like structure on them. And this particular cover, which is formed with the integumental glands, we see, and this particular pupae are seen. Now this is a male cell and this is a female cell, where the male comes out of an anal operculum and it will able to complete its metamorphosis and it able to fly. And this adult female incomplete metamorphosis will remain in the shell lag. So this is a total life cycle of the lac insect, where we see the nymphs, which are called as in crawlers, and after that they will be calling as settlers. They have a crimson colored, red shaped color body, and they have look like an boat shaped, and the size is about 0.5 millimeters, and these are called as in crawlers. The emergence of lac insect is in huge numbers. They will be crawling on the shoots. And when we are seeing that the male, which is able to fly away with the wings, will be of red color, and the size is about 1.2 to 1.5 millimeters. Eyes will be reduced, and the mouth parts will not be there in this male, and wings of one pair of hyaline wing. We see the shape of female as an pyriform body of 4 to 5 millimeters and antenna degenerated in them, and even the eyes are also absent in them. They only have the piercing and sucking type of mouth parts where they will be able to survive with this particular mouth parts, and the wings are also absent and legs are also getting degenerated. So these type of insects life cycle we see in the lac. And coming to the lac is a protective resinous substance secreted by the abdominal gland of the lac insect. And lac insects are tiny lac producing scale insects, which are called two types of species, Tacardia lacca and Caria lacca. Mostly in our India, we see the Caria lacca. In India, two strains of lac insects are recognized, namely Kusumi and Rangini. These are the common names given to them. So they live on several species of host plants such as mango, fig, peepal, teak, and oak trees. They insert their beak into the plant tissue and feed on the plant sap. So they reside inside the resinous covering called lac cell. So the males are winged and actively moving and has no significant role in the larva production. Females are wingless and inactive in nurture, and much of the lac is secreted by them. And these eggs develop into nymph and they feed on the plant sap to grow in size in course of time where they secrete the lac. So the life cycle of lac usually completes in 6 to 8 weeks, and lac cultivation involves three major steps: selection and preparation of the host plant, inoculation of the lac insects, and harvesting of. So the lac cultivation involves three major steps, that is selection and preparation of the host plants, inoculation of the lac insects, and harvesting of the lac insects. So first we see the selection of the host plants. It is the most important step in lac culture because quality of lac depends mostly on the variety of the host plant. And lac insect does not have the specificity to particular host plant. And lac cultivation can begin when host plant attain the optimum growth and size. So the initial preparation of the host tree for lac culture involves pruning. Pruning means cutting away the old weak and diseased branches to inducing tree to produce maximum number of new shoots. And inoculation is the method of by which lac insects or its young ones are introduced to an host tree and properly associated with the succulent branches. So sometimes this process in forests happens naturally. The tribe people, they'll collect this lac as in their livelihood and they will live on that selling that particular lac. Artificial inoculation is also there where we will see the two types of uh, collecting of lac, like natural inoculation and artificial inoculation. So when infection from one plant to other occur by natural movement of the insects, that is of natural thing where it happens usually in the forest regions, and natural inoculation occurs due to the overcrowding of the insect populations and unavailability of the tender shoots. So in artificial inoculation, those trees are pruned first. When the new branches attain desirable growth, small cutting lac encrusted twigs are taken from donor tree, and these are the seeds of lac cultivation, and they are soon tied to the succulent branches of the pruned trees. So whatever the third step involved is the collection of lac from the host tree for commercial uses is called as an lac harvesting. So there are two kinds of harvesting happens in that: immature and mature harvesting. In immature harvesting, lac harvested before the larval swarming, and in mature stage only it will take place. And the lac that remains attached to the twigs of the host tree is called as a brood lac. It is then scraped out, cleared from impurities, washed, crushed, and powdered called seed lac. So the grain lac is then melted on the charcoal with arsenic sulfate to form an impure lac called kiri lac. So the clear filtrate is cooled and solidified to form a pure lac. So the pure lac is then made into thin sheets called sheet lac, chemically processed chemically processed form of pure lac is called shellac. So, as we have already discussed the uses of black, we are seeing they are having a resinous nature and various commercially we are utilizing them in the paints, polishes, and varnishes, and even the materials like electric insulating material, photographic records, and like that we see the different types of uses of lac. And this particular lac insect is yielding resin, which is also a natural polymer made of hydroxy fatty acids, principally consisting of alluritic acid and hydroxy terpenic acids. And we also see the lac dye, which is consisting of erythrolachin and lactic acid. We also see the lac wax, benzene extract of stick lac extracted with the alcohol. So these many types of natures of insects we see in them.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Any doubts you can ask me?
Ma'am, will you share this PPT in our group, ma'am?
Yes,
Will you?
definitely. I'll share.
Okay, ma'am.
I will
Thank you.
share it.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one thing, you said that this lac insect means you said it will give it lay eggs 21 times, right?
No,
Hello?
not 21
Uh,
times.
uh,
No, not 21 times, only once. Only
only
once
once
it
it
will
will
lay the
lay.
egg. Yes.
Okay. So when it is laying egg, yellow spots will
Once
come.
it will lay the eggs, 300 to
Okay.
1000, one female will lay the 300 to 1000 eggs. That female
Okay.
is not going away from that particular host. It's remained there only
Okay.
with the
Uh,
degenerated legs, all that, and it will die
uh,
inside. But
okay.
after
Go
these
ahead.
eggs have been hatched from them,
Mm.
tell me, after 1 week to 3 weeks,
Okay. They will
these
hatch from
eggs
1 week. So after they lay the eggs, female will die.
they will crawl.
They will
If
female
in
will crawl away.
forest, what happens? Usually,
Mm.
one tree with joins with the another tree branches. So
Yes.
these crawlers, they will crawl from this tree to that tree also. And like
Okay.
that,
Okay.
that actually we'll call it as an infection. We are obtaining the
Okay.
land, but it will call that as an infection, which is getting
Infection.
transmitted from one plant to the another plant naturally.
Okay. Okay.
Naturally, it
Uh,
is these crawlers are growing through the
mm.
shoots of one plant
Okay.
to the another plant, and like that,
Okay.
inoculation will be naturally taking place on different trees, and the we are able to obtain the lac on from the trees.
Okay. You
Otherwise,
said that
we are
uh,
introducing
yeah, we are introducing that is
hmm,
artificial method.
artificial.
Okay. Ma'am, you said that this female, when at the time of laying eggs, it will get yellow color spots.
Yeah. And no, we will see on the branches like an yellow color, yellowish color egg.
Okay.
Egg color will be yellowish.
Okay. At the time of hatching, it becomes orange.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Till 11:30 you will have another class, no? You will take a break.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay, or some other thing I can explain?
Okay, ma'am.
You have to listen continuously. So you need a break, or can I continue?
Yes, ma'am. Next topic, what you'll tell, you will explain, ma'am?
Silk. Silk moth.
Silk moth. You explain, ma'am, because it is easy only, you know. Means we can listen.
You can
You
listen,
can.
but you need a break means 10 minutes I'll take, and I will, in the next class, I will continue.
Because Sunday only we can listen properly, ma'am. On Saturday we could not listen. So
Yes,
if you
that's
explain, no, yeah, it is easy for us to read, especially for me.
If you are able to listen means I will continue.
I didn't read anything. At least I can.
Okay.
Okay.
This PPT I didn't make it, but you can
Okay, ma'am.
follow because you are keeping your textbooks in front.
Right now, no, ma'am. I'll keep.
Okay.
I'll keep
I
my
don't have
textbook
your
in front of me.
apiculture is also there, no? Apiculture.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So this apiculture is one which is the one where we are able to produce the honey from these insects. It is also artificially and naturally, both the ways we are able to get it as a product from the different.
Your voice. Hello, ma'am. I'm not able to hear your voice.
Okay, wait. So this way, the honey is also one more product what we get from the insects. Now you are able to listen. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
You are able to listen. So the honey is an highly nutritive food, liquid food prepared from the flower of the nectars by the several species of honeybees. Are you audible? Yes. So the honeybee, we usually what we see we are doing in this particular uh, culturing of the product is Apis mellifera. Apis mellifera is the major producer of honey and has been domesticated and is maintained in several containers. Like when we are able to artificially produce in the hive containers throughout the world. And also one more species, that is Apis serena indica, is another species used by the beekeepers in our South India. So these bees collect the nectar from the flowers and hold it in their honey stomach till they return to the hive. So these particular insects are able to collect the nectar from the flowers and hold in their honey stomach till they return to the hive. So in the crop, it is an pre-digested and mixed with the invertase in the salivary secretion, which splits the sucrose of nectar into dextrose and levulose. So this is the fluid which is regurgitated into honey cells. Okay, how the buffalo regurgitate and brings its food to the mouth and starts regurgitation, like that. That honey also, whatever the whenever it visits the flower, whatever the nectar, it has been sucked and filled in the stomach. Again, it get back that particular honey as a process of regurgitation. It brings back as a self. Understood? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
you understood. So what
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
sentence you have to write means the bees
Uh,
collect nectar from the flowers and hold
okay.
it in their honey stomach till they return to the hive. Once they reach the hive, in the crop region, they will be pre-digested and mixed with the invertase in the salivary secretion, which splits that particular sucrose of nectar into dextrose, dextrose and levulose, and the fluid which is getting regurgitated into honey cells. So this is the process what is happening in making the hive to be filled with the honey. So after concentration, the fluid becomes viscous and its color varies from the source of nectar. So from which flower it is collecting, that source, depending on that source of flower, this nectar will be there, color will be changing. So the honey prepared by the nectar gathered from mustard flowers will be yellow. Okay. Water
okay,
will
ma'am.
be 20% and sugars will be of 30 to 40%. In that levulose will be of 30 to 35%, like that. Sucrose is also there. There will be an maltose and dextrins of 1 to 12%. So these are all the main constituents of the honey. And this consists of number of other substances also present in their particular honey in the small amounts, like butyric, citric, formic, lactic acids are present in small amounts. And there are also amino acids, enzymes,
Ma'am,
vitamins,
this percentage
minerals.
also we have to write, ma'am.
No need, no
No
need.
need. Okay.
Just so the amino acids,
Information.
enzymes,
Okay.
minerals we see in that particular honey as a major source of this particular epidorsata and epi. One more is also there, that is epidorsata mellifera. Mellifera dorsata, two we have to remember. So till recently, two-thirds of the honey in the market is used to form from the wild bee colonies only. But today onwards, they are making artificially also available because of the increasing population and the demand in the world is going on increasing. That particular market of the honey is more. So we are seeing the wild bee colonies are more, mostly the whatever the wild bee colonies honey is there, that is collected by the tribal population. In some regions like Kutch, Gujarat, honey is collected from the wild, that is Apis florea is the species, which is mainly mostly adapted on those particular trees, and they are found in those colonies, this particular honey, which is collected by the Apis florea insect. So maintenance of honeybees for the purpose of harvesting the honey wax and other products is called as an apiculture. That is a definition what we have to write for the apiculture or beekeeping. So the honey we see is having an Ayurvedic and in Unani medicines also, and it is also called as an laxative and blood purifier for the human beings. So honey is widely used in the preparation of baked goods, candies, gums, and beauty lotions also. So this production of honey in India is about 11,000 metric tons, that is 11 million metric tons. Compared to the USA, it is able to only prepare 300 million. In India only, it is being produced in a large amount. So, what is an bee pollen? We are calling it as the bee pollen is collected from the flowering plants and stored by the honeybees in their hives. So these bee pollens almost is an complete food which is of nutrient required to sustain their life. So this richer protein than the animal source. This is richer in protein than the animal source. And it is being, we are also collecting the royal jelly, which is, we usually call it, this particular royal jelly is a complex, difficult deposition where we will find in the honeybee hive only. Mostly the honeybee which takes feed this particular royal jelly will be the queen for that particular hive. And this longevity will be there from 6 weeks to 5 years also. This queen bee is able to live in that particular hive and able to maintain the honeybee to the larger extent of the bee wax deposition will be there, going on adding to that particular hive that will grow and remain there only as a big honeybee comb in that particular tree. We will find it for those many years also able to stay. That colony is able to maintain there on in that particular places. So even the after extraction, beeswax is also very much used in the cosmetics, and we also see them as in using the pharmaceuticals, polishes, and this lithographic products also. This particular honey comb hives will be used as an important material. So like this, we see bees to are able to produce this essential product, which is also commercially giving an employment to many people. Like this, we can discuss and write about the honeybees also, a very interesting topic. Okay, so read this honeybee colony also. What is the life cycle of this particular honeybee? And even if the next week I'll try to come show you the life cycle of these honeybees with the picturistic way and show you.
Okay, ma'am. Shall we leave, ma'am? Shall we leave?
10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes break you take. 11:30 again you have to join another class, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.